Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the DLF Trade Show on the DLF YouTube channel. Russ and Addison here. I'm pretty sure, as always, like I can say always. It's been like 4 years at this point. We're here as always. We barely miss any time. We're here, as always, to use dynastyleaguefootball.com, which go subscribe if you're not. I mean, I know you don't need, like, I know we're the best part of dynastyleaguefootball.com, and you don't need to be subscribed to the site to get us, but like as a favor to us.
Yes.
You know, go sign up. Plus, you could also get access to the Trade Finder and Trade Analyzer tools that Addison uses to put our show sheet together, of which there would not be a very good show if we did not have those.
Very true.
So, hey, go do that. And when you're done watching this video, just make sure you're subscribed to the DLF YouTube channel. Press that like button. Hit the bell so you get notified whenever a wonderful video is posted to the Dynasty League Football YouTube page. I'm doing this right? Like,
you're a YouTuber now. Yes, that is it.
Yes. Practicing that. I was working on it all morning and crushed it. Yes. So we're not going to talk about the playoffs because the playoffs are still going on and all that stuff. But what we are going to talk about right now is a little bit of what we started to last week when we talked about all the Falcons players. We are moving on to the rest of the coaching changes that have started so far in the NFL. And the first one that we are talking about is the Saints. And they just fired their OC, or did they fire their coach?
OC, Carmichael, yep.
Just making sure. I am a full belief that Chris Olave is studly, that he can be a wide receiver one for his team and in Dynasty and in fantasy scoring. I mean, again, we see like the 17 throws that Jameis Winston threw last season, like 12 of them went to Olave.
And they were great.
And well, they were in his direction. That's the most we can ask for with Jameis. Like,
they were great for Olave for fantasy.
His air yards were just wonderful.
Yep.
So, you know, there's going to be some directional changes when it comes to the Saints. And I guess I first want to make sure you're with me, right? Like, Olave can be that dude.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. He was my sleeper pick. I did a video last year on players that like dark horse candidates to finish as the number one at their position. Olave was my pick last year. That didn't really work out, but
no,
I still believe in that same upside is there with the air yards and his alpha wide receiver-ness in that offense.
And we want to talk about some trades involving Chris Olave because I am going to assume we're going to be on the side of going and getting Chris Olave decently in this. So let's see if that's the case. 12-team Superflex, Chris Olave for Devontae Adams and DeAndre Swift. Olave in at 655.4, Devontae Adams 320, DeAndre Swift 252, total of 572. Okay, so the rough part about having Devontae Adams in a trade analyzer is he's old. And his dynasty value will never come close to correlating to his fantasy value. And the Raiders are also could be on this list. It looks, did they hire Pierce, or it looks like they're going to?
I think it's like everything's happened except he hasn't like signed on the dotted line yet.
Yeah. So like things are going to be changing there, but like, I mean, Devontae Adams is like one player you never really have to worry about. He's just that good. And it doesn't matter that he's 31. He will be that good again until he decides not to be that good, because he doesn't depend on things that will decline in age to be good. DeAndre Swift, we both like. I don't know what's going to happen in Philly. You know, like there's like discourse, to say the least, in Philly right now. But regardless, he is by far the best running back on their roster. And to the best of my knowledge, probably better than 99% of the running backs that are in this class right now coming into the NFL. So I'm going to stick with the opinion that he's going to be their running back next year.
Yeah, because he is a free agent. So it is possible that he is not on the team. But
that adds a little extra also.
Yeah, it adds something to it. But
sneak peek of a future show, by the way. But again, DeAndre Swift is going to have a role on whatever team he goes to because he's 25, very good.
Yes.
So all of that being said, I would so easily send Davante Adams and DeAndre Swift to go get Chris Olave. This is a beautiful reset move. This is one of those, all right, well, I either won my championship or I went for it and lost, so I need to pull it back age-wise, go for some young wide receivers. I legitimately don't see a downside to this. Like, I don't see how you lose out on getting Chris Olave and sending away Adams and Swift.
I almost wondered, because a mid first round pick is 340-ish points. So that would essentially close the gap. If you replaced DeAndre Swift with just a mid first round pick that gave you a shot on potentially getting Brock Bowers or Odunze or Franklin, or if a running back gets bumped up into that kind of a range because of a good landing spot on early day 2 or something like that, that could be a replacement that would you consider Chris Olave and dropping him down to Davante Adams if I told you got Rome Odunze or somebody like that instead of Swift?
Yeah.
I think that makes more sense than like Swift doesn't have that current value right now. I think he's valued as a lower first round pick.
Yeah, just because the basis of the trade we have in front of us is sort of youth for points, I wanted to try and keep it in that. But yes, 1,000%. If you were to do Adams and a first, it literally has to be 6 or 7. Like,
yeah, in that range. But then once you get too high, if you get into like the quarterbacks or neighbors, I think that's too high. I think it has to be in that exact mid range.
All right, next trade is Chris Olave for Rashee Rice, and I believe I'm reading this correctly, a 2026 first.
That is a 2026 first.
That's ridiculous. Chris Olave 655.4. Rashee Rice, I mean, that's at 210. That'll jump for sure. And a 26 first is at 160.3 for a total of 370.9, so 371. Taking into account Rashee Rice's rise to fame, especially just going off in an island playoff game, this is still pretty easily Chris Olave for me.
I'm not gonna lie, I really want to take the Rashee Rice side on this one.
If it was even a 25 first, I would consider it more. If it was a late 24 first, I would consider it more. At 26 is just so far away that it's hard for me to care about it.
Yeah.
That's where I'm stuck. Like, we do know the picks. If that was the 24-112, I would sit there and be like, probably, maybe. But like 26 is just like.
Yeah, I definitely get that. And I definitely, like, if you have Olave and you're like, ooh, like I would love to trade down to get Rashee Rice and a first round pick, I would absolutely be trying for some sort of a 24 first. Then I would go to 25, and then I would go to 2026. But I wouldn't not pull the trigger on this because it's a 2026 first. Like, yeah. I truly believe that Rashee Rice is a back end dynasty wide receiver 1. Like, Chris Olave is wide receiver probably 8 or 9 for me, and Rashee Rice is probably like 11 or 12. Like, and like, if you replaced Rashee Rice right now with, I said that you could trade away Chris Olave for Jalen Waddle in a 2026 first, you would do that in a heartbeat because they're like almost identically valued in a sense, right? And you get a first. Doesn't matter if it's 3 years away. You just almost anything on top of Jalen Waddle to move away from Chris Olave and if it's a first, then you would do that. You do that for Brandon Ayuk in a 26 first, or Devonta Smith in a 26 first. Like, just the fact that it's Rashee Rice and he's a rookie and that people are still kind of skeptical on him. I'm not skeptical anymore. I think that he is going to be fantastic. I have a couple of tweets out recently that compare him to like what Amon-Ra St. Brown was doing at the end of the year. Obviously, what Amon-Ra did at the end of his rookie year had no bearings whatsoever on how he would continue to produce through the remainder of year 2 into year 3. I don't have any issues about Rashee Rice moving forward in terms of more competition or Travis Kelce being there or not being there. He is really freaking good. And I'm going to do it. I'm taking Rashee Rice in the 26 first side on this.
Okay. So let's move on. Let's move on to a guy that we both greatly agree that is just awesome. And we started not to see it to the same level as Rice at the end of the season, but Jaxon Smith-Njigba was just really, really good. The Seahawks are like 4 or 5 years too late in moving on from Pete Carroll. But it finally happened. We started to see it at the end of the season where it really even looked like ahead of time that they started tipping the scales of the Tyler Lockett started up here, JSN was down here, and it started to, and while, how to put this in, the situation for JSN wasn't as conducive to breaking out as the situation was for Rashee Rice.
Yes.
Was that politically correct enough?
Yes.
Good. I still think it's absolutely on the table. I think it is, they take a step up from Geno. They take a step up to a head coach and OC who understands how to run an offense in the 21st century. That there's a chance that JSN becomes that guy. And again, not worried whatsoever about DK Metcalf being across from him. If anything, I think their play styles accommodate each other well enough that they'll help each other. Mm-hmm. Did I hit enough? You want to add anything about JSN?
No, perfect. Tyler Lockett can be cut for $8 million this offseason. So very easily could be a Philadelphia kind of situation where you have DK Metcalf as like the AJ Brown operating as the big bodied wide receiver. And then JSN does his thing everywhere else.
So let's look at some trades. 12-team Superflex, Jordan Addison, JSN, and a late first. Just, those two guys.
111.
Back. 111. Okay, thank you. For CeeDee Lamb. Addison 468, JSN 430, 111, 220 for a total of 1118. CeeDee Lamb 824.7. So here we go. We're back at the 3-for-1 where the 3 heavily outweighs the 1, which it should be, especially in a 3-for-1, and especially when you're trading for a top 2 at their position player. So, okay. So before I get into what I think the direction of this trade is, I like this. I'm cool with this. Both directions. This is one of those to me where, all right, again, either I just won, I tried to win, and 99% of my team aged out, or I just took over a team and CeeDee Lamb is literally the only good asset I have, so I need to break him down. This is a beautiful haul for CeeDee Lamb. You're getting very young, very good wide receivers and a pick on top of it. Put it the other way around. We've seen Jordan Addison do mostly very well. Whatever that word is. Oscillated, that's a fan. I don't know.
Roller coaster.
Yeah, sure. There you go. A little bit like with and without Justin Jefferson there. Addison was a little iffy. Plus, we don't necessarily know who the quarterback in Minnesota is going to be. So maybe you're not sold on Addison being the Devonta Smith equivalent, like the very strong number 2 who will still score as a very, we'll just say top 20 fantasy wide receiver, to put a vague numbering of value. And then again, JSN, maybe you don't believe he can do that. If that's the case, getting 2 very highly touted prospects who have shown talent in the NFL and a late first and turning it into who can be someone's wide receiver 2 seems like a baller move.
Yeah.
Because like if one of those wide receivers don't really pan out, you're going to feel wonderful that you got CeeDee Lamb for a very good wide receiver and a late first and a guy that didn't work out. I want to say I firmly believe both of them will work out and they will both be very good. I'm just spinning ideas that people might be thinking because I talk too much and it's a problem. So honestly, I think this is a very good trade. If I had CeeDee Lamb on my roster and I saw this in my inbox, I would legitimately immediately consider it. As opposed to most trades coming in for CeeDee Lamb, I'd be like, why would I do that?
Yeah. No, I agree. Because of how I operate in Dynasty, I'm going to take the CeeDee Lamb side on this one. I just like to be super lean at wide receiver, especially when I have the opportunity to get a top 3 Dynasty wide receiver at worst, for the price of 2 kind of wide receiver 2s and then a who knows what it could be in that 111 pick. I'm just give me CeeDee Lamb. That's kind of the end of it. However, like I do agree with you that if if you're one of those specific teams where you're entering a rebuild and CeeDee Lamb is one of, if not maybe even your only like high valued asset, and you just need to start breaking him up and getting more assets to hopefully gain him more value to propel your rebuild, this is a fantastic way to do that. Go get Jordan Addison, go get JSN, go get a 111. And if you hit on that one, it could be another Jordan Addison or JSN this time next year. This is a fantastic way to break up CeeDee Lamb. But just the way that I operate and the way that I want to play Dynasty, I want CeeDee Lamb on this one. I think this is also a good way that, I see a bunch of teams and get asked questions about like, how do I improve my wide receiver core? And people's wide receivers are DK Metcalf, Devonta Smith, T Higgins, like Jalen Waddle, all these like wide receiver twos in the NFL who are super volatile because they're not the ones on their team. And how do you improve your consistency and your value and stuff? Package a couple of them together and just go get CeeDee Lamb, go get Justin Jefferson, go get Jamar Chase. I think you can do that in a lot of leagues if you have kind of two of these kind of premier top 15 valued wide receivers in Dynasty.
So let's move on to the next trade, just because I can sit there spinning those things all day. JSN and Isaiah Pacheco for Puka Nacua. All right, let me just read this off first. JSN for 30, Isaiah Pacheco 152, total of 575, Puka 568.3. So 2 questions before we get started. Do you care about Pacheco much?
In the sense
more
of
than
this
like a
trade,
replaceable RB2 to you?
Nah, in the sense of this trade, no, I don't really care about Pacheco.
Just put it out there. Puka. Where? What? Why? How? When? Like, what is he with you? Like, is he... Okay, hold on. Puka or Rashee Rice?
Puka.
So you said that very quickly and very definitively, which means you probably have Puka like top 8-ish?
Yeah. I think he's borderline top 5.
In which case, this is easily Puka for you.
Yeah.
Same. And it's wonderful to think back that Puka was probably not drafted in a lot of rookie drafts. We have a dude that we saw do it in a way that couldn't really be fluky. Like, the only thing, what would make me worried about Puka Nacua if both Sean McVay and Matt Stafford went away? I don't think both of those are happening.
Man, I don't even know if I'd be worried. Puka is just so good, though. Individually.
I'm not even saying that I would think he would be bad. I'm saying what would make me worry.
Okay, I would have concern if he lost his quarterback and his head coach simultaneously.
Exactly. Like, that's really it. Like, and I can't really just go like Puka top 5 as definitively as you just did, but he's up there. He deserves to be up there. He's shown that he's deserved to be up there. All that being said, yeah, Isaiah Pacheco is not swaying me in any way, shape, or form for me to put JSN up there already, in which case the answer is easily Puka.
Yeah, I mean, you don't just have the best rookie season of all time at wide receiver without having individual talent yourself. Like it really is. Like, we've said this multiple times on this channel, whether it was me or you, Russ, or Justin, or anybody else. Like, if you change Puka's name with Jaxon Smith-Njigba and JSN did what Puka did this year, he would be ahead of CeeDee Lamb because it's JSN doing the best rookie season of all time. But because it's Puka Nacua and he's a 5th round pick with the LA Rams, and what do we do with Stafford? What do we do? Is McVay going to stay there?
Remember how much we like Diggs? It's the same thing.
Puka is so good. And I think more people are coming on board with the fact that Puka individually is just a really good talent, especially after that playoff game. But like, I don't have any issues with him at all whatsoever. I saw multiple people, like Ray GQ talked about how he was like, when I watch Puka Nacua, I see Anquan Boldin, which I also think is a very fitting comp because Anquan Boldin, prior to Justin Jefferson, had like the best rookie season of all time. You know, back like in 2003, he had 100 receptions for almost 1,400 yards and 8 touchdowns as a rookie. That was Anquan Bolden. And then what did he do after that rookie season? Well, just in Arizona alone for the next like 6 seasons, well, he had 4 1,000-yard seasons, 1 over 1,200, 1 over 1,400. 2 of those seasons were top 6 in fantasy. The other 2 were top 20 still. And then he went over to Baltimore, had a pretty average Baltimore, but then went over to San Fran, another 2 1,000-yard seasons to end his career in his early 30s as, again, a top 20 wide receiver.
By the way, so I pulled up January's ADP, and Puka is wide receiver 7. And I looked above him, so it's Justin Jefferson, CeeDee Lamb, Jamar Chase, St. Brown, A.J. Brown, Garrett Wilson, Puka Nacua, Tyreek Hill, Chris Olave, Devonta. And like I'm already listing names from like, all right, no, I think I'll just put Puka above them. In which case, the only person I listed that I would like Puka over Garrett Wilson. And I love Garrett Wilson and his talent, but he's on the Jets.
Yeah.
Like, and even if when Aaron Rodgers comes back, I'm not going to have any faith about his longevity staying there. So I'm still going to be wary about him the entire time. In which case, yeah, I'll put Puka up at like wide receiver 6. You
might be able to make an argument of Puka over AJ Brown just because of the 3-year age difference. And
I just like AJ Brown too much. That will 100% personal bias on that.
No, I love AJ Brown too. I'll keep him top 5 as well.
He finally made it there. I want to keep him there as long as possible.
Yep.
All right, so let's move on to Justin Herbert, who I was interested to talk about a lot of reasons because of the change and again because of the injury. So I wanted to talk Justin Herbert because I was just very interested in seeing how this goes, to seeing what the trades looked like, and to see like if again, you know, like if you watch the show more than twice, you see I talk myself into things as I start talking because my brain and mouth work at very different speeds. So I'm excited for this 12-team Superflex, and I'll probably ask you some questions as we start talking, so I'm not going to ask them up front. Jamar Chase and Justin Herbert for CeeDee Lamb, Dak Prescott, and a 24 early second.
2.01.
I was not ready for that trade up front. All right, here we go. Jamar Chase, 835.5. Justin Herbert, 826.2 for 1661.7. CeeDee Lamb, 825. Dak Prescott, 611. The 201, 130 for a total of 1566. All intents and purposes, we can cross off Chase and Lamb, right?
Right. Yep.
Clearly, you might have a preference, whatever, but like value-wise, let's just say we can cross them off. I'm not trading Herbert for Dak in a second. I realize how well Dak has been doing. I realize that I have been all pro Dak for however long, but well, this year, last year, like coming out of last year felt so weird, even though I still liked him. That team, there was something different wrong with the team at the end of last year. Just like maybe they're just bad at the end of the year.
Maybe.
Because man, like I said, they're one of those teams where sorry if you're a fan for how they played. But still, like I still think there's more than a second difference in between, even if it is the 201 between Dak Prescott and Justin Herbert. How much of a difference? Probably not that much. Like you're not going to get into that top 7, like I was saying before. Like I don't think anyone's going to give up Dak Prescott and Brock Bowers to go get Justin Herbert. But if like we hit that next tier of like that 108 to 110, I would probably start considering it there pretty strongly. And again, I know that's 3 or 4 picks, but still there's a very big difference between something that starts with a 1 and something that starts with a 2. I don't care that 1 pick apart.
Tier breaks could be tier breaks again once we get into May.
Yeah. So I'm going to stick with Justin Herbert here, the Justin Herbert side.
Yeah, this trade, I'm pretty sure I helped somebody with this trade that they had asked me about my opinion before this, and I don't remember if it was on Twitter or in the YouTube comments, and I apologize if you're watching this now and I can't remember. I want the Justin Herbert and Jamar Chase side on this one as well too. Like we can effectively cross off Chase and Lamb. And I agree. I would not trade Herbert for Dak in the 2.01. That's not enough value coming back. And like Dak Prescott's best season has been essentially like Herbert's almost worst season. We're still like only 2 years removed from Justin Herbert putting up 5,000 yards and almost 40 touchdowns. Like Dak needs a lot of things to go right for that to happen, you know.
And
you get a 5-year age difference as well.
Yeah. And LA has shown that they're trying to piece that offense together. Like, okay, Quentin Johnston didn't work out, but they still drafted an early wide receiver, and they have a really early pick this year. Like, imagine Brock Bowers going there, Malik Neighbors going there.
I am so wanting them to draft Brock Bowers. So I just think that fits on every single level. Gerald Everett's a free agent. Put in Brock Bowers. Give Justin Herbert another weapon. And we're talking about coaching changes. Hopefully, I mean, I really want what's his name, Ben Johnson, to go to LA.
So yeah, so I'll take that. And yeah, so this is the Herbert side. The next one, Justin Herbert for Jordan Love and a 25 first. Herbert 826.2, Jordan Love 512, 25 first 254 for a total of 766. Tell me how to feel about Jordan Love.
Quick information on this one. This is a Devy league. That 25 first is or was Raheem Sanders. Now I might have taken some liberty to apply a 25 first to his value. But I just want that to be known that this is Jordan Love and Raheem Sanders for Justin Herbert. And I don't know if Sanders will actually end up being a first in 25 or not. But
it's the best you can do.
It is what it is. I think this makes for an interesting conversation, is trading down from Herbert to Love and picking up a first in the future.
All right. So real quick, I'm going to throw the January ADP back up.
Sure.
QB 15, Jordan Love.
Wow. Really?
So Herbert was 7. Anthony Richardson, Justin Fields, Dak Prescott, Kyler Murray, Trevor Lawrence, Tua, Brock Purdy, Jordan Love. Again, orders be what they are. I still feel like he's in that tier.
Yeah, I think I'm throwing Kyler up into kind of like the Herbert tier, or maybe he's in a tier of his own before you get to like Tua and Love and everybody like that.
I'm with that.
Because it does feel like you're trading down more than a tier from Justin Herbert to Jordan Love. Now, I will say, I've done basically like a full 180 on Jordan Love. He looks very, very good. I don't know how the Packers keep drafting these quarterbacks, but they do. And I think that Jordan Love is going to end up being the quarterback of the future, especially as that wide receiver gets better, because they're all like 22 years old.
Yeah.
And I mean, if they even were to add to it and get like replace Christian Watson or Romeo Dobbs with like T. Higgins or somebody like that, like, holy crap. Like you could just add so much more firepower to that offense that I think Jordan Love has made a name for himself to be a top 15 guy, if not even top 12. But I don't view Jordan Love, even though I just said, like, I think that he has made a name to potentially be a dynasty QB1. I wouldn't feel comfortable with him if he was my 1. You know, like Herbert, he's my 1. He is good to go. Yeah. I'm not there yet with Jordan Love. I think that he is just a very, very, very good 2. But also, you know, a bunch of guys in that tier I kind of feel the same way about. Like, I don't think I feel comfortable with Tua as a 1 or Purdy as a 1 or, you know, any of those. Justin Fields, honestly, even as a 1, even though he scores like a 1, I don't think I'm comfortable with him as a 1. To where I think I'd rather just have Justin Herbert than Jordan Love in a first, let alone it being Jordan Love and Raheem Sanders. But even if it was a first and it could be anybody and I could take anybody with that pick, I'd still rather have Justin Herbert.
Yeah, I'm with you. Justin Herbert, at least in my scoring, put up 20.96 points per game, and that's including the 3.8 in the game he got hurt. Jordan Love put up 21.87. So if, without doing any math whatsoever, if you took away that 3.8, they'd be the same.
Mm-hmm.
But still, value has to matter a little bit on that one. That's the end of our sheet. So, okay, well, I was expecting more, but there isn't more, Addison. There isn't more. On that note, this has been the DLF Trade Show on the DLF YouTube channel. Russ Fisher, Dynasty Outhouse, Addison Hayes at AmazeHayes_. We'll catch you next time.